Stuck the kid in the background.
I'm the oldest one in here.
You are.
Yeah, true.
Alright, we're out of Spider-Man 2, so summer movie season. It's the second time in 10 years I've seen a movie called Spider-Man 2.
I think this is my
Jesus.
first comic book movie.
Ever?
No. I meant
What do you think?
Since we started the midnight screenings.
Well, you
But,
just saw The Amazing Spider-Man for the first time
I
today.
did, because I didn't see the first one when you all went to see it, and then I was waiting for it to come on Netflix and whatnot.
Did you like it?
So, I loved the first one.
See?
I thought it was fantastical. No, like, it made me feel feelings, unlike the Tobey Maguire ones. And they were good feelings and sad feelings when sad things happened. And it was believable that this was a teenager. They did up the Spidey shtick in this, I noticed, but...
I haven't seen the first one since it came out, since we reviewed it.
The first one... Well, we're not reviewing the first one.
Well,
but
I mean, we might as well talk about what our in case someone doesn't remember or just don't know what our opinions were of the first one. You hated it.
You're just sitting there. Go ahead, Irving.
This is why
Let
he's
it
not
rage.
talking.
Let it rage.
No, there are people that like that movie. I just did not.
I liked it.
Did you get hate?
I can't. No, you weren't in the video with us, were you? Wasn't it like
For the first one? No, I didn't actually. I didn't watch it that year. I waited.
Oh, you saw it late?
I saw it later.
Oh, okay.
Because remember, during our best and worst, I was like, I haven't seen it yet, but I don't want to.
Oh,
That's
okay.
right. You can
So
come
I did.
over and watch it if you want to see it again.
I finally did see it, and it was
Yeah.
I can't argue to that movie being entirely necessary. Because
the first one?
Not necessarily unnecessary that it was rebooted. Like, okay, yeah, I can see why they wanted to reboot it, but to reboot the origin story again, I can't really argue that that was entirely necessary. But with that being said, I liked it better than the other origin story.
So did you like? Sorry.
Than the Sam Raimi one.
Did you like the Tobey Maguire one at all? Like, was that?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Well, I mean, I liked
Spider-Man
it too.
2 is the best Spider-Man film that's ever been written.
Oh,
and
so
that's
you love this movie. This was the best one ever.
You know, this is a really, really good romantic comedy that happens to have fucking Spider-Man and Electro in it.
He said, oh my god, when he said that, when the credits were rolling, you went off to the bathroom. He and I were still in the theater. I was thinking that throughout this whole movie. I was. And when he said that, I was seriously like, oh my god, thank you. This movie is there are parts of this movie that are really good. Like, this movie is a pretty good, like, indie romance movie surrounded by kind of a shitty superhero movie, to be perfectly honest.
It is a little disjointed. But it didn't make me not like it. It wasn't anything special.
It made me frustrated.
I loved the first one.
I thought the first one was way better than this. I thought the first one was way better than Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 1. Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2 is better than this. This movie is so frustrating to me because there were parts I loved and it would be immediately followed by some of the stupidest shit that I've seen since, like,
the whole infamous shtick with the Electro guy there.
A solid rewrite, taking out another rewrite of this fucking thing. Like, I feel like I've watched The Amazing Spider-Man 2, 3, and 4 in one fucking sitting, crammed into a 2.5 hour movie.
Yeah, because we were talking beforehand, and because I didn't know that you didn't like the first one, and I was kind of curious to how the hardcore comic fans, because I know some about the comics because I read, but my parents didn't let me have them picture books when I was a kid. So I was just curious because there's only so much you can change in a storyline without pissing off your hardcore audience, and then even then sometimes you do. And here you've got, Electro and then Harry and all of the stuff, and then BJ Novak plays Smythe.
Yeah, I even forgot he was in this until you mentioned it.
That's the other one.
Well, okay, this is all going to be spoilers.
Kingpin's right hand.
He looks nothing like Michael Clark Duncan.
But Jamie Foxx kind of sounded like him at parts.
All black men sound alike?
No, when he was like like it was like a mix between
This would
Candyman
have
and
gone in a
Michael
really
Jackson.
weird direction if she just said yes.
But of course they do. Isn't that a generalized statement? He's like,
I
wait a
could
minute,
quote
hold
that
on.
Bell trailer where it's, I didn't know she'd be so black.
Man, this a solid like pick one movie. You want to be about Harry Osborn or you want to be about Electro? Fucking pick one, man. My God, this movie is cluttered.
I was really hoping that, they would have focused less on Electro and more on the Harry Osborn
I straight up
stuff.
wish he wasn't in the movie. I couldn't stand Electro in this goddamn.
Oh, I thought you
thing.
meant Harry Osborn. I was
No,
like,
I liked Harry Osborn. Yeah, with his Bud Cort is son of Hitler hair. That was weird.
it's like if Eddie Furlong and Hitler had a baby.
Oh, Jesus.
No, it wouldn't be
He's
Jesus.
so
Hitler
high,
and
he
Hitler.
probably does think that he is impregnated by
I do
Hitler.
miss James Franco. I wish he would have been somewhere in there. Not necessarily as Harry, but just somewhere walking along
Would-
just for kind of...
Yeah. Would it, or we'll
Oh.
bring back the Punisher again, like in the second one.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
What did you think of the Electro, Harry Osborn, all of that?
Well, that's the one thing that they got right in the first series, even though turning him at the end, that whole movie sucked. But there was an actual character arc for Harry in the first 3 movies that's non-existent now. He just kind of fucking shows up in the blue. Oh, I've been gone for 10 years, but here I am. It's like,
Yeah.
no,
It
that
was
is
like-
not the fucking story.
You're exactly right, because say what you will about how the previous Spider-Man trilogy turned out and wrapped up, there was at least still some kind of art in this.
Connection
There's
versus...
a tragic
Let me-
old war. It
Yeah.
starts, there's an arc there that's non-existent now. It's just all of a sudden, first they kill off Norman Osborn just for no fucking good
Oh
reason.
my God, yeah.
Just done, gone.
And so campy. He looked like
The Leclerc.
he looked like Nosferatu crossed with Howard Hughes.
Yes.
What the fuck? Like there were so many scenes in this movie
Foreshadowing.
that are supposed to be so goddamn serious, but are unintentionally funny by either oddly placed shenanigans incidental music or
Hey,
the
How I
scene
Met Your
with,
Mother did.
I'm amazed Yakety Sax didn't pop up in this
Yeah.
fucking movie.
or
That's just,
His ringtone is Spider-Man. And then when they're doing the bouncing off of the big electric, not towers, but the
power grid,
the power grids. And they do make music. I've seen that happen to where
Yeah.
they can do music. And so when Electro's doing that, he's doing the itsy bitsy spider as he's like flinging.
oh God, and that
around.
whatever song that was playing when he was in Times Square destroying shit. And
you
it
mean
was,
that Marilyn Manson hates everybody song?
Is that what that was?
I don't
It
know.
sounded like a hard rock version of Sweet Sweetback's theme.
Yeah.
What the fuck? And also like ghostly disapproving Dennis Leary dad popping up in these parts that I'm sure are supposed to be serious, but
No.
I kept laughing.
Being haunted because, and technically, since I saw it today, he never said "I promise." Dennis Leary died before he said "I promise." When he says "Promise me you won't bring her into it," and then Peter's like, "Well, I promised your dad. I promise," and I'm sitting there like, "Actually, you
I
didn't
love Dennis
say
Leary
it."
so much in the first movie. I loved him in that. Come on, you at least got to give me Dennis Leary in that
I'd give
movie.
it Dennis. That's just Dennis Leary. I mean, you can't not love Dennis Leary when he pops up.
Oh,
It's just
yeah,
one of
yeah.
those
Did you
things.
not like it because it didn't have Peter Parker doing a snappy dance down like Times Square?
That was fucking stupid.
I was to say you didn't like Spider-Man 3.
No,
Yeah, I
Spider-Man
know,
3
I'm just
sucked
poking
balls.
fun.
Yeah.
It sucked balls.
I like this better than Spider-Man 3
Oh yeah.
Well,
because there are.
wait, there's your fucking bar right down here. You can't even see it on the fucking screen.
Yeah, I liked it better
saying,
than
I like
3.
this better than Jaws 4.
Yeah.
It is better than Jaws 4.
Well, no, I know.
The first one, I liked the first one a lot because I thought it was just a very good character film. Like, they devoted about an hour to building up
Before
all of
Jaws.
these characters that I really liked and felt a better connection to than I did in the other movies. I like Andrew Garfield better than Tobey Maguire. I find him funnier.
He's
I find
quippier.
him... Yeah, I find him way more charismatic.
I
Oh
like
my
the
God,
focus
way
on the
more
school
charismatic.
element, too. It was like you gotta grasp
Yeah,
his life versus I'm a kid.
And in this,
accent, Spidey.
I love him in this movie. I as much as I did in the first one. He is funny in this movie. He's his
Yeah.
physical performance in it as well. The slapstick, he's very charming and likable in this movie. Every scene with him in this, I love. I love the quiet moments in this movie between him and Gwen, or even him and Harry. The first time Harry pops up in this movie, he was a little odd because it felt like he was like the snooty rich kid from a Little Rascals cartoon. But then when the movie slows the fuck down and takes away all the clunky exposition it's doing, because it really does feel like you're watching a sequel to something that you missed the second part of. When it's just him and Harry talking like in the park and whatnot, that was really good. Scenes like that are so good in this movie. And then Electro shows up.
But when I was saying they upped like kind of the shtick, because in the original Spider-Man movies with Tobey Maguire, it was very one-liners and very forced. And what I liked about the Amazing Spider-Man movies is he would have those in there in the first one, but it genuinely felt like, you know, a 17-year-old being a smartass. And so the beginning of this, I'm like, all right, well, he's this big star, so you're probably going to get a little bit of a big head and throw quips and fuck with the criminal element. But they did it a little too much to where it started feeling like that Tobey Maguire line where he just kept throwing out.
It worked for me in this. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in this movie that just, if I was having any flashbacks to Spider-Man 3, is that it felt like the studio wanted so much in this that it's just cluttered. Like, no, it can't just be about Osborn. Throw Electro in there. No, not even just that. Throw Rhino in there for no fucking reason whatsoever.
At the very
to
end.
bookend the movie when the movie should have ended 15 minutes
I thought
before
it was
it
going to
did.
end with the graveyard.
That's
That
where
would've
it
been
should have
perfect.
fucking
And I was like,
ended.
I would have actually been okay with that ending.
And also, like, oh, we need a big opening sequence in this. It can't just be a plane crash. It's got to be a fight scene inside the plane that's going upside down and shit. Like, fucking really?
Because, you know, scientists are incredibly good at hand-to-hand combat.
It's this fucking turbulence
And
all of a
also,
sudden.
here's my other thing, too. That laptop looked a little advanced for, 10, 12 years ago? It looked like he was using the same goddamn
been about
laptop
10 years
that
ago,
Peter
yeah.
was using later on. And
So
I'm like,
2004.
Advert for Vio.
because Sony fucking plastered everything.
To be fair, though,
I mean, it's their movie. Okay, fine, I get it. You like Sony products. You own the fucking thing. Jesus.
to be fair, though, it does exist in an advanced reality with all the crap with Oscorp and everything. So
The reason
But
why
then
I
you
don't...
just have fucking... Wait a minute. Hold on. Sorry.
you're fine. Okay.
They fucking send a T1 internet signal in a plane, and then it gets sent to a fucking laptop or a fucking home PC in a fucking underground subway station that has fucking dial-up.
And an underground train.
I heard it. I started to hear the dial-up. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me right now? You plugged in a T1 line into a fucking Sony Vaio laptop and sent it to a fucking ancient PC that has fucking dial-up? Are you fucking kidding me with this?
Oscorp has very
that
advanced
didn't bother
dial-up
me
back
so
then, though.
much.
But it was...
The reason why the laptop didn't really bother me that much, and I admittedly I was kind of thinking the same
It was
thing.
like,
It didn't.
yeah.
It didn't really bother me, only because they are such high-tech scientists in their field that if this movie was made in 2004, they probably would have given them some advanced-looking
Yeah.
computer system
Yeah.
like that. I mean, yeah, mixing it in with the dial-up, okay, but when the dial-up stuff was happening with the subway car, I was just kind of sitting there like, this is one of the many things in this movie that just deserves its own movie. Like, honestly, like, all the Harry Osborn stuff, that should have been just what this movie was about. We would have gotten to know Norman Osborn. We would have given a shit when Harry said that he's dying. It would have had an arc that just really wasn't there, because here is 50 minutes worth of Electro, and here's Rhino to
focus
bookend the
more
movie
on
for no
Harry.
reason. Huh?
I wish they would have focused more on Harry. Like,
I do
he
too.
did that cackle when he came out. I was like, oh, that's creepy.
That was
That's
actually
awesome.
pretty good. I'll give you
I
that.
like that
Was,
cackle. That was
his
great.
laugh was pretty good.
Did you guys like him? What's the actor's name?
Chronicle.
Chronicle. I mean, he's
on
great in
Chronicle. And he was
Chronicle.
on some TV show, but
This, I thought he was. I really liked him in this. I could see why his performance not everyone might like it, because it's very over the top, which is the kind of performance I like. He kept me very entertained through this, like with the hair and everything and how sickly he looked. He's cartoonishly over the top. And the kind of over the top that I like the Michael Sheen kind of over the top, like the kind of over the top that I really like. And I liked him in this movie because of that, but I can see why some people might not necessarily care much for him in this, even though I personally
Rhino's the
did.
same way. I mean, just over the top, stupid. That fucking accent.
The reason why Rhino bugged
accent.
me.
It's like literally not even 5 minutes.
It's like
isn't it?
The opening scene is one thing when he's doing that, but then here is this just horrific thing that happens to Peter Parker. This incredibly emotional sequence. This emotional arc that he's going through here in this whole sequence that's honestly very beautifully shot, where it's going through the seasons and everything, and then 2 minutes later here's fucking Krang in a metal suit popping up
and that
with
fucking
this
kid,
ridiculous
I'm like, the worst
accent.
mother ever. She just lets her kid go and nobody's moving the kid. It's like, dude, that's a bad guy. He would have squashed that fucking kid.
That I did like the shot though where Spider-Man was behind the kid, and I liked that, but so much of this shit could have been taken out of this goddamn thing and just rewritten to completely take out Electro, who is fucking like Edward Nygma at the beginning of the movie, crossed with single white female. Like I don't know what you guys thought of this, but like he just seems evil because the movie needs him to be a villain. Like he's talking about
get it there, but it wasn't.
I bought it more as Edward Nygma because Edward Nygma was a similar kind of character, but you saw a huge darkness to that fucking character amidst like jokes and stuff like that Jim Carrey was doing. But you saw that this guy was like kind of crazy. Right. In this, he's just kind of this happy, nerdy guy.
And then
like
you
this.
Don't remember me, I will kill you now.
This Louis Skolnick kind of guy who seems happy, and it never shows him as any kind of like dark recluse who has like hidden depression or anything like that.
Well, it shows his like psycho shrine to Spider-Man.
Yeah, but even that he's happy.
Well, no, I know.
I'm not saying that like there's any time in this movie where he wouldn't have been. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying the movie never showed us that.
They don't have proper development.
Yeah, it did not have proper development for all of a sudden he's just crazy and wants to kill Spider-Man.
What I'm saying is, because they focused on the wrong things. They tried to convey it, but they did it poorly.
Yeah.
With the whole, nobody notices me. What? You notice me? He wrote a fucking birthday card to himself, and then there's the whole electric thing getting tortured. Then he meets Spider-Man, is like, oh yeah, you remember me. And then he thinks Spider-Man tricked him, and so that is supposed to be the catalyst to, oh, okay, I want to kill you now.
And it's,
that's how they got there.
Just not well
but that was
at
their
all.
reasoning for it.
Not well at all. And again, if it was its own movie, so much more time could have been devoted to that.
Just one. We need one.
How often does that really work? Like several villains in a movie, like
Spider-Man 2. That's it, because there's 3. Spider-Man 2, Zod, and
Superman 2?
Superman! Oh my fucking god, I'm so tired.
That great Superman movie with the Riddler.
Do you know how many times I've said Spider-Man today? Like, okay.
I mean, I'm
Superman
not saying it never works. I'm seriously asking what are the times.
It's so much shit for that now.
Well, I mean, like Zod and all of them were a team. There was the 3 of them.
I was being a smart ass.
It usually never works.
Batman
X-Men.
Returns.
When you're trying to.
I mean the villains, not the.
When you're trying to separate storylines and then mesh them all together right at the end, that's when it doesn't work. If you like with Batman Returns, all of those arcs are developed at the same time across the same.
Each
spectrum.
one is given an arc in that.
Right, and it's done all in conjunction. This is not. They're just kind of thrown in together.
It's Spider-Man 3
there's
had that problem.
connecting,
Yes, it did. It
Big time.
It's
Was that-
connected
And
to
then-
you.
Well, that and they fucking cast Topher Grace as Venom. It's the stupidest fucking thing
Although he
ever.
gave me the only part that I really liked. Well, you know what? I don't like the movie before anyone yells at me, but I actually kind of did like a lot of the dancing shtick he was doing in that because
You're the only one on Earth
I
who does.
know. Because I have a reason. Because it was one of the only times I actually found Tobey Maguire entertaining in those movies. So I did kind of laugh at that shtick, and I did like. I don't like the
Going through
movie.
the
I
town.
don't. It was cluttered. It was poorly written and convenient as shit. Oh my god.
You
when
have that large
shit
Spider-Man
lands
3
on.
poster in your house,
No, I
like
don't.
all over your walls are
I mean,
copies of Spider-Man.
not granted, I have posters for a lot of shitty movies in my house, so okay.
They won't know.
But you can see the posters in the background of my. But like, I did like. Topher Grace gave me the one part in that movie that I actually did kind of like when he photoshopped Spider-Man robbing a bank on the front of the paper and put like giant $sign money bags in his.
Yeah, that was
Speaking of X-Men, there's a part after the credits. We're going full disclosure here, I assume.
Oh yeah.
We haven't gone complete full disclosure,
Well,
but
I
yeah.
don't know because like people got mad at Dave for revealing some Lord of the Rings stuff in with the Hobbit. So,
yeah.
but this is kind of
fuck
they
that
passed.
shit. If they don't, it's a fucking book.
Spoiler:
I
Gwen
didn't
Stacy dies.
Spoiling a 50-year-old novel. Fuck off.
But here's the thing:
Really?
it's not technically a spoiler because it can't follow the line that it's supposed to because they've
Are
already.
you talking about the X-Men thing?
Yes, at the end there's an X-Men tie-in, but it doesn't show how it ties in. It's Mystique and all this army stuff. And originally it was supposed to be Electro, and Magneto is trying to recruit him for his, League of Evil Villains type thing.
Brotherhood
But
of
they
Evil Mutants.
what?
The Brotherhood of Evil Mutants.
Yes. You know what? At least I know this much, and you try running on 2 fucking hours of sleep a night for weeks, and let me know if you don't get confoozled.
But like my thing is, and like me, like, was that just like simply there as a teaser for the X-Men movie, or is it actually? Are they actually putting it in continuity with Spider-Man?
That's what I'm wondering, because since they had the tie-ins through the universe, I don't fucking know.
What do you
I
think?
don't think they are.
Because
Well, I mean,
that's
so,
weird.
Well, it's so disjointed.
in terms of the movie.
I think Fox just played them a lot of money. Be like, hey, Sony, put this in front at the end of your movie.
Yeah, because considering everything that's happened in the X-Men movies, like, this seems petty for me to say, but like, you'd think you'd have heard something about that in the last couple Spider-Man movies. why is everyone shocked to see this fucking Electro guy? Like, there's tons of mutants walking around.
But how she dies, like, because we talked about this a little bit with Gwen.
Oh, wait! What are you doing? God, we can't run. Spoilers! I'm just
No,
kidding.
okay, here's my take on it, because I know we were talking. I think they pussied out because the whole point was supposed to be, did he actually kill her by trying to save her, or did she die beforehand? This, she literally, like, he's too late, boom, and then bounces up, so she hits the ground like a failed bungee, so she's dead when she hits the ground. So there's not really that question of, did he actually kill her instead of save her, because it was supposed to be over a bridge by her leg or her foot or whatever.
It was her neck.
Well, her neck would have snapped because he webbed her foot going off the bridge.
He gets her. It's
was her
either the
leg.
back. No, is it?
I thought her neck
Original-
snapped.
It does. Well, it does,
was
but I
the
can't remember.
velocity because of a bungee type thing falling
Oh.
that much. If it swings back, it'll
It
break
pulls
your
her.
neck.
Yeah, it's. But I can't remember if it was. Was it her leg?
Well, some body part.
was
I
it-
thought it was her leg.
No,
but
it was something to where when he pulled it taut, her momentum carried and snapped her
Right.
neck.
and that would do it on that
Maybe it was the
velocity
arm.
anyways.
I can't.
But
I'd have to go back and look. I'm trying to remember how it worked.
regardless, it wasn't how it happened in this movie. So
Yeah, the web gets her in the stomach, and then she
bounces and then she's like dead.
Yeah.
So-
She smacks right on the ground after that fall, which was really painful looking.
So they blatantly, it was just a you were too late, you didn't necessarily kill her versus the oh my god, did he kill her while trying to save her?
I think the way they played it off, it's not going to matter.
I know it's not going to matter. I was just
With him and the great. It was.
I mean, I see both sides of the argument on that. I do see like the side that says what you said.
I kind of
And
like
then
the
the other-
controversy side where you're not sure, but then they do like figure out and be like, no, she
Well,
died, you didn't.
And
kill
that
her."
would have been the perfect. Why they would have perfect ending. Then you could have transitioned to Spider-Man 3, where he's reluctant. He doesn't because him jumping back into it just like that.
It was so
They said it was
sad.
like 5 months later.
And
they're like, "He's been
again, the
away for 5
Rhino
months."
thing that really
Right.
kind of just was ruined. Really, what could have been a pretty emotional ending, and it is emotional. It is when he's He's a good act. He's a really damn good
God.
actor, and when he's holding her at the end, it's very sad. And they also play with the audience knowing that she's gonna die, so you're kind of sitting there throughout the last 10 minutes, like, when's it gonna happen?
Well,
Because
there
it
are people
is.
that don't know, so
I
it's
didn't-
never followed the stuff.
When they had said that the chick who played Mary Jane was out,
Shailene Woodley.
I was like, well, then they're not gonna kill her.
That's what I was thinking too. But then, like when that was all going on, I'm like, oh God, when's it gonna happen?
The reason why I figured they would is because it was blatantly showing her in her death outfit in behind the scenes shots and some parts in the trailer that it showed.
Oh, see, I didn't watch like all the behind the scenes stuff. So.
I like MJ even like on the halfway through this movie, like any more added to this movie would have made it even more cluttered. Like,
Right.
yeah, I think Shailene Woodley would have been miscast, but
Take out some of Jamie Foxx and stick MJ in there.
but even like, okay, halfway through this movie, I was like, didn't Paul Giamatti used to be in this? Like, yeah, I was thinking that, but I was kind of relieved he wasn't, because that would have made it even more fucking cluttered than it was. He just shouldn't have been there in the first place. But anymore, my God, that would have been fucking much at 2.5 hours. Or
But I mean, it
however
would have
long
been
this
easy
is.
to have the ending. Like I said, have the ending when he's standing there. Segue into the next, like have the little stinger be Harry talking about putting together a team, and then flash forward to Spider-Man 3, where you've got all these guys coming around where the Sinister Six, introduce Sinister Six.
they
which
said
is
it was
good.
7 in the thing, didn't they?
Did they? That's good.
I thought they said 7, and he's like, "How many men do you want?" And I could have sworn he said 7.
I don't think
I
he
thought he
said.
said simple. I think he's
Oh,
listening
simple.
to simple.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think he
Because
said
I was
it
like,
as
because
that.
I heard you go 6, and then I hear 6.
Well, he's like, how many men do you need? I just go, you need 6.
With Embeth, I mentioned that with Embeth Davidson, they're continuing the trend of Army of Darkness people still being in Spider-Man movies.
I still think we should have got one more shot of Dennis Leary, like as he's holding Gwen, of just,
Disapproving.
Asshole.
and then
You
it
didn't
pulls,
say the magic word. Please, God damn it.
and then it pulls a whole ghost thing, and he reaches into his daughter and pulls her ghosty hand, and they walk away looking back.
That'd have been just
I've
fucking.
seen that ending. That's the ending of Edge of Darkness with Mel Gibson.
Is it really?
Kinda.
Yeah.
Damn it, Hollywood!
Fucking shit.
Someone
Kind of
stole
is.
my shtick. I wanted to film us like doing stuff, and then film us like 10 years later, and then we're the young versions. And apparently, someone's been working on that for 10 years.
There
Link
was
letter.
just weird,
Yeah.
weird moments of. I don't know, like that fucking guy in the mental institution who was acting like he was in a Peter Lorre film. Like he
Oh,
looked
the
like
torture guy?
Yeah, that was a weird acting choice. That really seemed like. Honestly, that seemed like something you would have seen at Batman and Robin, with John Glover acting like crazy and
Well,
whatnot.
he did look like Mr. Freeze when he was all like up
He did
in
look like
prison.
Mr. Freeze. Jamie Foxx did. But yeah, the weird, like, Warner Brothers cartoon mad scientist guy. And yeah, Jamie Foxx doing the musical notes fucking with Spider-Man at the end. Like, this movie was really all
Again,
over the
those
goddamn
do-
place.
Those do produce music with the right electrical charges, so it's not impossible.
I'm not saying that's
playing
not
devil's
my
advocate here.
complaint on it.
I thought they overdid the ringtone. It's like, we get it, and he's like whistling the Spider-Man tune,
Oh, yeah,
and then
they did that
the
quite a
ringtone,
bit.
and whistling. It's like,
It was good enough in, it was the second one, right? Where the girl on the violin is playing.
Yeah.
yes.
That was good enough, you know? Is there anything else to talk about with it?
Just that it was just terribly done.
What'd you think of it compared to the first one?
I like the quippiness of Spider-Man in this one.
Yeah.
I think it's a little over the top. I think it was done better in the first one. I don't know.
I still
They're
laughed
trying.
at him quite a bit in this.
Oh, yeah, I enjoyed it. It was
I think
weird.
Adam Garfield does a pretty goddamn good job.
Oh, Andrew Garfield. Yeah, yeah.
It's just the rest of the stuff around him that doesn't work as well.
I thought he was great. With the parts, this movie is, again, I'm sorry to repeat myself, but this movie is so frustrating because there were parts in this movie that do work so well. Mixed in with reasons why this franchise had to be rebooted in the first place.
I'm glad they rebooted it because I really enjoy the first movie. I'm sorry, The Amazing Spider-Man. I really enjoyed that one beyond the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. I know you don't agree.
I didn't say anything.
I was just
I
acknowledging.
didn't say nothing, man.
I was just acknowledging that I know you don't agree. That being said, though, tonal-wise, and maybe it's because I just watched the first Amazing Spider-Man today.
Yeah, I haven't seen it since it came out.
Tonal-wise, there is a noticeable shift, but maybe it's just because I watched it today. So.
The first one was much more of a character-driven movie than this. This one's not. This one's all about cramming in as much shit as possible.
I mean, there were quips.
Man, if it just settled on one goddamn thing, it could have been just as character-driven as the first one was. It really could have, but they didn't allow enough fucking time for it.
Are they just, like, thinking maybe to, in number 3, like, focus on Harry, and that's why they didn't fucking focus on him in this movie? Since they had him in the jail, they're like, blah, 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 blah.
No, I don't know. I think it was just because it was crammed, because it had all the Electro shit in it. It had about 18 other fucking things going on in this movie.
Why would you bring Electro in for the second one, though?
Because, I don't know, this, I don't know this for sure,
that
but
seems
like...
kind of a Batman and Robin movie. Like,
yeah,
when you don't know what else
anytime
to do.
that usually happens, it's because studios want extra villains in it. Only 10% of the time does that ever work. No, this movie is not as bad as Batman and Robin. I'm not even gonna say this movie's bad, but no, this movie's not. This movie's better than Batman and Robin. It's better than Spider-Man 3. Better than a lot of movies that just cram a lot of villains into it, but it's still a fucking mess.
It just felt like Mr. Freeze. It really did. It felt,
Well,
aside from all the puns.
He looked like Mr. Freeze, but he...
But I meant like the whole, I don't know.
He wasn't quite Mr. Freeze. Like, I didn't like Electro in this movie, like, at goddamn all. But he wasn't doing the same stuff that Mr. Freeze was, necessarily.
Exactly. I just meant, you've got it was uninteresting, and then you had all of the stuff with Harry that would have been interesting. How I Met Your Mother did, and just glazed over it and got to the Goblin part of it. And then that was, like, shortened as hell, too. You had all the cool, sorry, my brain dead. The fight scene and everything, and it just seems like they breeze past that whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
It was her leg, by the way, too. Sorry, I was researching.
Oh, did you? Oh, yeah. What did it say?
He grabs her by the leg, and then the force of being stopped whips her head back and.
Oh, I got you. I got you.
I really wanted it to end right there, because then
God,
I think 3 would have been great, because I would really love to see just a despondent Peter Parker throughout a third of the next movie, trying to figure out his life, and then you could easily introduce MJ, because since they didn't have MJ was Gwen's friend, and that's how they end up.
She was a stuck-up little bitch, and then that humbled her. I'm a model. I'm so hot. Blah, 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 blah.
It kind of did. She did kind of get serious. They made her more serious after Gwen's death, and then that's how Peter and Mary Jane got together, was their shared common, grief over Gwen.
Our friend is dead.
Our friend's dead. Time to fuck each other. No. I don't know. It just.
That's the grieving fuck right there. You're so sad. You just got.
I'm totally with you on that. I'm pretty much in complete agreement, quite honestly. Like, it really should have ended sooner than it did, but that's not the only problem I had with it. But crap, when I kind of figured it wasn't going to. I was hoping it was going to end there. I kind of figured it wasn't, because they hadn't shown the Rhino costume yet.
Yeah.
They hadn't shown him in that costume, so I was like, it's going to keep going like another fucking 20 minutes. Man, it shouldn't.
Yeah, and then it just, no.
And I wouldn't even mind if they went, the little further, because you've got May talking about putting things behind you. If they would have done that, and then he walks past the TV or something and be like, "Where's Spider-Man?" and you just don't know he's going back type thing, where it's like he gave kind of up at that point if they weren't going to end it at the graveyard or when he's holding her.
You know, which would have been fine either in a third movie or if this movie wasn't cluttered with 2.5 hours worth of stuff to make that breeze by so bad, so quickly. Any final thoughts on it?
I don't think it was necessarily bad, but it wasn't.
I'm not gonna say it's bad.
It definitely wasn't as good as the first.
You probably liked it as much as the first one.
Yeah, it's like I said, pretty decent romantic comedy.
Yeah.
Not much else.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the 3D we didn't talk about.
Oh, the 3D's really good, honestly. I thought it was.
See, for me, like, when he's flying through, some of those 3D shots are good, but there was things like with the cars crashing and glass flying to where in other 3D movies where it really comes out at you, I felt the opportunity was kind of wasted.
It looked good for me.
I don't know.
Yeah, for me, all of that stuff looked fine. I thought...
How did it look for you?
There were certain parts that jumped out, but
it seemed
not
for the
really.
most part it was just depth,
fairly
right?
flat.
Oh, yeah, for me, I liked the 3D in this.
The clock tower scene was pretty good.
Yeah,
with that
the
with
electro stuff I thought was good in 3D.
Yeah, I mean, like I said,
That's
there were
why they
certain
did it.
scenes.
They're like, oh, 3D, let's use electricity.
Oh, because you couldn't do someone on a flying hovercraft in 3D.
Apparently not, because they sure glazed over that fucking part real quick.
Yeah, that was all of, 5 minutes of the movie?
Yep.
What's your... Yeah, what the hell, yeah, you said, yeah, a pretty good romantic movie in the middle of, like...
Yeah, I can't deny that the two of them have chemistry. And
Oh,
it
yeah.
works. But this isn't a romantic comedy, it's a Spider-Man film, and yeah.
Would you suggest theater prices?
People who really want to see this are going to go see it regardless.
Right.
So, for anyone who's debating it, who's not just going to automatically run out there and see it, no matter what critics or, people like us say about it, I wouldn't recommend full theater price for this.
No.
Matinee, cheap seats, something like that.
Depending
Okay.
what else is in the theaters at the time, because it's not...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't go see, like, A Haunted House 2 just because we're...
Oh, God. Yeah, that's... I wouldn't,
Why would
I
they do
wouldn't
that?
recommend that at all.
Well, they said don't pay theater price, and the only other thing playing at our theater is A Haunted House 2, so I guess we'll go into that.
Oh, God, they
I am
didn't
so
see our
punchy.
review of Haunted House 2. I didn't recommend that at all.
Maybe that's what those guys saw.
Haunted House 2?
Haunted House
Oh,
2.
Jesus Christ, you people.
Maybe they went to go see Transcendence and they're arguing about it like we did. I thought this movie was better than that.
See, that's why you didn't like Electros, because it was all Johnny Deppified and shut down all of the power.
Johnny Depp did shit like that and...
No. I meant it got, like, he went through and shut down, like, all of the power and all the
If I want to
computers
see
went
that,
down
I'll
and
watch the
everything.
Trigger Effect, goddammit. Or the last 2 minutes of Escape from L.A.
I did kind of wonder when he
Nice.
rematerialized, though, he was wearing, like, shorts. Because they didn't do the Ken doll or the nudie route. I was like,
What
how did you materialize shorts?
He was wearing them when he was chained up, though.
Yeah, but he dematerialized. How are
Oh, well,
you
that's
by
like-
electricity?
They talked to Edna Mode. They gave him special trunks.
Look at Manimal, when his clothes
I'll buy
rip
it.
off, he turns into an animal, and then he comes back later and he's got his suit back on.
Well, it did
I'll
the
buy
same
it.
thing later with that full body combat suit they put him
Well,
in.
see, that I just figured that was like some magical Oscorp weirdo thing, but the trunks, I was
the
like,
trunks
you
could
just
have
don't
been
want to do an
magical
electrical
weird
penis.
Oscorp.
When the power
Yeah, Watchmen
went
already
out.
did that, so.
When the power went out in New York at the end, I had a thought. I was like, I would really like to see like a Spider-Man movie or superhero movie like this that's taking place during The Purge. Can you imagine if The Purge 3 is a superhero movie?
I immediately
He's got his night cut out for him.
I,
Fuck
immedi-
yeah.
I immediately jumped to American Dad. Steve, Todd Sonicare runs on electricity. His PlayStation.
Oh, jeez.
They find the golden tooth.
What do you guys recommend? Like cheap seats, rental?
Rental.
You say
I
rental?
wasn't even.
Cheap seats are fine because
If you're
of what is
insistent
playing
on seeing
now.
it in the theater, I would recommend cheap seats,
Yeah.
like a $2 theater, $2-3 theater, or something.
I don't
like
think
that.
it's worth the 3D price. in my opinion.
I thought it was. Well, I mean, had this movie been worth full ticket price, which I don't think it is, I could recommend 3D prices for it.
Yeah, I wasn't going to see this in the theater regardless. I mean, the only reason I'm seeing it is because I reviewed it.
Well, it's one of those things.
Isn't that
where
usually the case?
If
Yeah.
it's date
Yeah,
night,
pretty
and
much.
depending what you're up against, I'd say if you're going to see
Brian and Letty were here. They were here on a date night. They had a date night tonight. They were going to go see it earlier, but she took a nap, and so they came to the 9 o'clock. But they were at the 2D screening. They both, or Brian at least. I don't know about Letty, but she probably really liked it. Brian really liked it a lot.
But no,
Good for him.
Right? Yeah. All you, buddy.
No, I was
You
just
can
saying.
take it and run with it. Sorry.
That's okay. I was just saying that if it's one of those like, hey, let's go see a movie and it's a date night type thing, depending what all is in your theater, this isn't necessarily a bad movie for a date night, but just kind of weigh it against what you really want to see. Because if you're going to the movies regardless, I wouldn't say, well, don't see this in the movies.
It'll have a good 2-week run and then it's
Oh,
going to
yeah.
get crushed by X-Men.
Yeah.
It'll
Well,
get
Godzilla's
fucking
coming out in a
destroyed.
couple weeks.
Yeah, see, I think it'll still compete well against Godzilla, but it won't compete well against X-Men.
Yeah.
I think once X-Men's out, it drops to third or fourth.
Yeah, the movie should probably do well enough, and then there'll be a third one, and hopefully they get their shit together for that one.
Yeah.
And next week's kind of a throwaway week because it's the second week of Spider-Man. So next week is like Neighbors, and there's something else. But like Neighbors, I think is the
We don't
bigger
even know
one
that's how
between
important
the
it
two.
is.
Well, that doesn't mean it. There's sometimes when I can't remember and it is something big that's coming out. Yeah, it's like Neighbors. I can't remember what else, but no one really wanted to compete second week with Spider-Man, so it's
Seth Rogen's got the balls too. He's like, I'll do it. Get me in there.
usually when you see that happen, it's typically the kind of movie that's not necessarily geared to the same audience. Which, well, Neighbors maybe is geared towards a younger audience, but okay, like when Phantom Menace came out and Notting Hill opened up against it,
Oh, God,
and they
that's the
both
other
did
extreme.
well, because they both were for completely different audiences. But yeah, next week is Neighbors and something else, I think.
We're getting
think
the
we're
low
out.
batteries, low battery flash.
I
Oh.
think we're at
No
memory
trailers! Again, no trailers.
Later.
See ya.
Bye.